Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode. We're going to be talking about sleep training. My name is Miss Amber, and I have Miss Shannah, my amazing regional director, is here with me, and Mama Extraordinaire. And we're going to talk about sleep training today and how to get little ones to sleep on their own. Let's dive in.
I think I've noticed that the new trend is to have that sound machine, which I love the sound machines, but to have that sound machine and the dark blackout curtains, and that in a daycare center is not what we can do, and it makes it hard on the kids that do that every single time to take that nap or go to sleep, like when you're out somewhere or at a different environment where you can't do that. You can have the sound machine. It's more the total darkness and total quiet. When I was reading about sleep training, they said make lots of noise, vacuum during that time so that your kids get used to it. And my kids did get used to it.
Yeah. Same with me. So, I mean, again, our kids are older now.
Yes.
So everything
changes
and like the ways change. But yeah, going back to when I had my little babies, my kids, I loved routine and schedule was very important for me. I think I just strive on routine. So when it came to sleep with my babies, with my oldest, I remember finding a book, and I can't remember it, but I remember coming across a book on sleep training.
Yeah.
And he was like 12, he was about 12 weeks old at that time, waking up multiple times a night. And really the goal that I learned about sleep training was really teaching our little ones to fall asleep on their own.
Yes.
And back then, that was, my son's now 23, my oldest. It was have the vacuum on, like be loud. You want your babies to be able to sleep anywhere in any environment. And now it's kind of like the opposite. But then I think kids are having a harder time sleeping.
Yes.
So I think it's important to have a routine. Would you say? Like, I think some people really are free flow, and like when my baby feels tired, I want to put my baby down. But I think what I've seen over the years with my kids, I don't know about your kids, and all of our students, all of our babies, routine is really important in sleep training.
Yes. We try and have nap time at the same time at the school. We have lunch, we go in, we go potty, and we have the same time every day. The same went for my kids. I had a routine, like as they got older, and even when they were younger, you read a book, you sing a song, and then we lay down and we go to sleep. And even when my kids were like 4 and 5, they would request that. If I tried to leave the room without doing the moon thing or the corners to your bed, they would, Mom, you forgot this or forgot that. And I think it just lets their minds know and their bodies know that this is the time where we go to sleep.
Yeah, I did the same thing. When my first son, I started sleep training, he was 12 weeks old. I was a brand new mom and just trying to read books and figure it out. But then every one of my kids that came after, I was in it. I believed at that time, and I think I still do because it worked really well for my kids.
Yes.
I believe that it was on like a 3-hour cycle. I forget what this methodology is called, but it was you eat, play, sleep. Eat, play, sleep, which you may think it wouldn't work because a lot of times people do the eat at the very end for the kids to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it was eat, play, and sleep. And I did that on a repeat cycle of every 3 hours, and it worked amazingly.
Yes.
I loved it. And I always liked having my babies on a routine and a schedule. So I just knew what was coming. And I was so anal that my family made fun of me. I mean, my babies, my kids, I don't care that. I mean, until they were older, their bedtime was 7 o'clock at night. I had my kids on such a good sleep routine. All of the kids were usually in bed by 7. I mean, up probably for years, for a long time. And now we did have the blackout shades at that point because I wanted my kids to sleep really good.
Yes.
I would put that shade down and be like, it's night time. But they were really good sleepers they were really, really good sleepers. I always had a routine. I believed in teaching my kids to fall asleep on their own. I was never that mom. I'm sure in certain situations, of course, you're feeding and you're trying to delicately put the baby in the crib without them waking up. But I think the ultimate goal is having your child learn to sleep on their own. So when they do wake up in the middle of the night,
yes,
they know how
they can put themselves back to sleep.
They know how to soothe themselves to put them back to sleep.
Yeah. If you do that rocking or, they fall asleep in your arms, they recommend, and I recommend that they're more awake when you lay them down, not totally awake, but they can open their eyes and then you can pat them and then they can go to sleep on their own that way.
Oh, I did a lot of patting. And we do a lot of patting at the preschool.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Patting on the back. But yeah, the sound machines now, what do you see is different in childcare centers now with the babies coming in?
That the parents want, we have 2 and 3-year-olds that the parents want that sound machine next to them. We always have soothing music playing.
Yes, always.
But some kids can't sleep without that white noise. And so they have these little sound machines that they have to have right next to them. And, they have a hard time, and they play so hard, daily at preschool and other times, but at preschool that they need that little bit of rest, a little bit of sleep. And it's just more and more difficult for those kids to really relax and stay asleep. Because if you're in a blackout curtain with a sound machine, when you wake up, it's always that way. And when you're in another environment, whether it be a hotel room or grandma's house or the childcare, you don't have that. So you're more likely to not be able to get yourself back to sleep. And it just makes it harder on everybody.
Yeah. I think too, naps is a really important developmental. Kids need naps. They need their rest time. It's so vital. There's so much growth and development that happens between the 0 and 5 years. So I think allowing your child to get that rest.
Yeah.
Sometimes in life too, right now we can be super busy. It could be running here and running there and running errands. I remember when my kids were little, I was such a stickler with the time of everything. I mean, literally their nap time, that was sacred space.
Yes.
Sacred time. I don't care where I was rushing home at 1:00 because my babies needed their nap and mama needed some rest.
Yes. Yes.
So, I remember making their rest time, their nap time. So it was a sacred space for them and for myself to relax. I would really suggest and encourage to not sweep those things under the rug and not just free flow your day, because it's just so important for our kids to be rested. So they're developmentally, they're developing the way they're supposed to. So I think sleep it's important for us. I mean, I do not feel good when I do not get good sleep.
Exactly.
And as a new mom, too, if you're listening and you have a new baby, sleep with them.
Yes.
The house doesn't matter. The laundry doesn't matter. The dishes does not matter. I would just encourage, like, really, when your baby is resting, rest too.
Yes,
You know?
I totally agree. I can remember driving home and just singing at the top of my lungs to try and keep kids awake so that we could get to that.
Me too.
So that you can get to that house to get them to sleep. Because if they took a little nap in the car, forget it. Yeah, I would sleep so long.
I remember that
rushing.
We're gonna stay awake. We're gonna stay awake. Keep those eyes open.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and people may think you're crazy. Like I said, my family, we'd be at a family function at like 6:30 at night. I'd be packing up all my kids, and I'm like, we're gone. Like, I love you all, but peace out. I would leave so many parties early because I wanted my kids to be in their beds at the same time every single day. And
a lot of times when you push it, the kids just have a total meltdown, and then they can't sleep because they're totally melting down.
Tired. So you want to catch your kids too before those moments.
Yes.
There is that moment where it's too late. Like, they're overextended. They're running around crazy because they're just so exhausted. But I mean, whether you believe in schedules or not, I think that sleep is super important. I think it's really important to teach our little ones how to fall asleep on their own.
Yes.
Without the help of us, as their mom or childcare provider. And at schools, just to be clear, at our preschools, at childcare centers, that those staff, we love your children. We love them so much. And we are helping them fall asleep. We go around to every child. We pat their back. We rub their face and their hair. So when they are in a school setting, they are absolutely getting help falling asleep. But I think just for for the health of their sleep health, it's just good, because then if they're waking up in the middle of the night, they're falling back to sleep.
Yes.
And you as a parent need really good sleep too, so you can be your best version for them.
Yeah. We have a lot of parents that say, could you not let my child sleep? And legally, we can't keep your child awake. That's one thing I have to say. But it's also, if they're wanting to sleep, they need that sleep. And, it's not fair to them to try and keep them awake. I know nights get long when you get home, and it might take a little longer, but in the middle of the day, they're meeting new friends, they're learning new things, they're running, they're playing, they're learning how to interact with people. Just their brain power that they're using, they need a little bit of rest. And we don't make our nap times unrealistically long. So if your child's falling asleep, let them rest. And maybe adjust it at nighttime. Maybe the 7:00 could be pushed to 7:30.
Absolutely. What works for your family?
Yes, what works for your family. I mean, we don't want you to be miserable at nighttime either. But if their bodies need rest, then they're going to rest. We've had lots of parents say, "Oh, my child won't sleep." Well, when you're relaxed and their body says, "Oh, wow, I'm laying down here with all my friends. There's nice music and my teacher's patting my back,"
they fall asleep.
They fall asleep.
And they fall asleep pretty fast.
Yes, they do, because they have been so busy.
So,
we try and keep them so engaged and just working their brain power and being excited about learning new things. They need that sleep. And I know not all kids nap, but having a time for their bodies to rest is very important. Even if they don't, we're not going to force them to go to sleep. That's not something we do. But their bodies need a little rest.
They definitely need rest. And I think there's also a point too where kids grow out of their nap.
Oh, definitely.
And then you have to recognize when they're done sleeping.
Yes.
During the day, when they're infants, they need multiple little naps all day long, right?
Oh, definitely.
And then like 6 months, it gets less. And then at a year, you might have one long nap a day. It's recognizing when to phase back and like cut back that maybe morning nap. If they're not falling asleep at their normal regular bedtime at night, it's like looking at those signs of maybe cutting one of the naps during the day. But there is a time where the naps do go away.
Yes.
And recognizing that as well. And typically around 4, 3.
Yeah.
I would say 4-ish, between 4 and 5. A lot of times naps fade away. I remember one of mine, my third son, he was napping for years.
Yes. They're all different. They're all different.
He's like 19. He loves his naps. And he's still an early to bed kind of guy. So every child is very different, and the amount of the sleep they need. Like my daughter now is a total night owl. Like she doesn't need that much sleep anymore. So recognizing when your child is like, when they're coming home. So say if they are in school and they are coming home and you just can't get them to sleep, and they're maybe 4.5 years old, they're phasing out of naps. And I think it's important for childcare centers and preschools to provide
a resting
period for the older kids.
Yes.
Just have a timeout, like a 30-minute rest period, but then have an opportunity to not have to lay on their bed for an hour and a half. So like they should have another opportunity to play, but having a quiet time, I think for all kids before kindergarten years, it's really important to have a quiet time, even if they're not sleeping, just that rest. Like it's okay, we're going to have a 45-minute quiet time. It's important.
Yes, between 1.5 years and 2, they give up that morning nap. And some kids have come to us at 2 and had a really hard time waiting that. But they have a nice long one nap a day. Yeah. And then my kids were really good nappers for a very long time. Probably after kindergarten is when they stop. Yeah. But there are children that when they're 4 and 5 that don't need that rest. Right. And we have a short rest period, and the kids that fall asleep, they'll stay asleep, and all the kids that don't get up and start playing, and those kids that need the sleep are still
sleeping
because they're used to the noise, and they will sleep for a little while. We always start saying, it's time to get up. We're going to go have snack, right? To rouse them out of that. But every child's different, and giving them the opportunity to find what works for their body, listening to their body when it needs rest, listening to their body when it doesn't need rest is very, very important.
Yeah. And I think what works for your family too. I mean, I have a cousin of mine, her little girls are night owls because I think their dad is a night owl, and their dad goes to work later in the day. So their whole schedule is very, very different. And I think whatever works for your family. I think what makes that hard is when you go into kindergarten and your kids are on the night owl schedule, and then they have to start whenever your kids start going to school, whether that's preschool or kindergarten. I think you just got to be mindful when that time comes of adjusting their sleep schedule, because when they're night owls, they're not going to want to wake up till 9 or 10 in the morning. Yes, right. Yes. And then school starts at 8 in the morning or 8:30. So we just need to be mindful of that too. I'm not a night owl. I like to be in bed every night at 10. So that was the schedule my kids have always been on until they get to do whatever they want. But I think recognizing when you are going to choose when you decide to put your little one into school, whether that's an infant program, preschool, toddler program, I don't care if it's an in-home, whatever that is, what time are they going to be expected to start at school, and just making sure they really should be getting 10 to 12 hours.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Yes.
I was very I really wanted my kids getting 12 hours of sleep every single night. They were pretty much a 7 to 6 a.m. Between 6 and 7 o'clock, they'd wake up. So they were pretty 11 to 12 hours every night. And I thought that was really important for my kids.
As they get older, you can discuss with them, if you don't sleep and you have to get up the next day, these are the consequences. And, if they get up cranky, maybe you should think about that your body needs a little bit more sleep. You have a set bedtime, a set routine, but sometimes they keep themselves awake, like reading or talking to their siblings in the middle of the night. So, but having those discussions about listening to what your body needs, I think maybe you need a little extra sleep at nighttime, isn't important, because eventually they'll have to wake themselves up and go to bed at a certain time to function in life.
Yes, as an adult.
Yes, as an adult.
And there's more and more studies that sleep is so important. I think for so long we kind of ignore that, right? Where we like, as we think of our health in general, we think of eating good food, we need to work out. But more and more studies, like sleep is so important for all of us as adults. Like we need our sleep. And I think that we forget that sometimes. So I think sleep is so vital, as in the very basic of health needs.
Yes.
Of our children and of us, So even to this day, I protect my sleep.
Yes.
I really do. I take that I might need some melatonin now. 3 little gummies every night, but sleep's really important. So just like our children. No, I think that was, what do you think? Did we miss anything? So I think the key to when you're little, when you're sleep training, is teaching your little ones to fall asleep on their own is really going to help. When they do wake up in the middle of the night, they can comfort themselves and learn how to fall back asleep. When you have little infants, I was all about the 3-hour
having a routine. Having a routine from that 0 to 5.
Yes.
Whether it's reading brush your teeth, read the book, and then say the poem or song or whatever.
A bedtime routine.
Yes. Yes. The same every night. And no matter what time you end up getting that helps a lot. Yeah.
Kids love routines. We'll do another episode on routines, but I believe kids thrive. They really need routines.
They need to know what's coming.
Yeah, it's really helpful. So I hope you enjoyed a little bit of our sleep 101.
Yes.
Wishing you guys a fabulous week ahead. I'll see you next week on the ABCs of Preschool with Miss Amber.